Welcome to the Core Skill Building Collection. In this video, you will learn the basics of the use case diagram. Part of the SysML representation set, use cases describe the functionality of a system from the user perspective. The use case diagram is a graphical representation of actors, blocks, and use cases. Use cases are effectively the names of MBSE threads, capturing concepts and context that should be translated into threads and the integrated system logic. They are often used as elicitation and discovery tools, helping to better understand the system under consideration and transition from requirements and operational context to behavioral threads. The conceptual modeling flow in top-down design begins with the requirements. From the requirements, you define the system boundary, physical and functional, and identify the context. From this context and the operational concept that drives it, use cases are identified. Use cases are then elaborated by functional threads, which provide the insight needed to develop the integrated logic. Note that this is not the only flow, nor is it the prescribed flow. A view of how use cases fit into the greater language of MBSE is shown here. Use cases can be tied to requirements. They can also exist free-floating. However, this conceptual map places use cases into the overall context of the MBSE model. They serve to make the development of threads more disciplined, explicit, and rich. The subject, the large box in the middle of the diagram labeled Surveillance System, identifies the system that this use case describes. Note that this subject is inherited and does not have to be linked to every level of the use case model. Core starts with the element use cases and looks up the ancestor hierarchy until it finds a use case that describes a component. In this traversal, Core considers the included in, extends, and generalization of relationships. Two levels of use cases are represented within the system frame. The direct children of use cases as identified by the includes relationship. In this example, monitor environment and setup track are included in use cases. The use cases linked to these children by the includes, extends, and generalization of relationships representing the second level. In this example, initialize system and shutdown system are included in monitor environment. Handle camera fault extends monitor environment in the event of a fault. Extension points represent the places at which a use case can be extended. On each extends relationship, there is an extension point attribute. This field is displayed in the label of the extended use case, as well as on the line connecting the extending use case. In the example, handle camera fault uses the extension point fault for monitor environment. Manually monitor environment is a specialization of the monitor environment use case. The actors represented around the boundary of the diagram are the components involved in the use case on which the diagram was opened, plus any use case shown on the diagram. Actors are shown in two different formats. By default, components of type human are drawn as stick figures with the name displayed below. All other component types are drawn as rectangles with a corresponding icon template defining the content. In this example, no non-human actors are displayed. The use case diagram is a free-form diagram. Core defaults to specific layout behaviors, but you are free to rearrange the content within the bounds of certain constraints. All nodes are resizable. Note that while actors are resizable, stick figures are drawn at a specific size in all cases. Use cases are drawn into a two-column format inside the block representing the system of interest. The children of the use case upon which the diagram was opened are drawn on the left edge of the subject frame. All second-level use cases, following the includes, extends, and kind of relationships, are drawn along the right edge of the subject frame. You can select and move any of the use cases on the diagram. The subject frame is automatically sized to include all use cases. It can be enlarged to provide additional space, but it cannot be resized smaller than its content. Actors are displayed along the left, right, and bottom edges of the diagram. Actors participating in the child use cases are drawn in the left column. Actors participating in the secondary use cases are drawn in the right column. Actors participating in the top-level use case, but unrelated to the children or secondary use cases, are drawn below the subject frame. Actors can be moved from region to region, but cannot be displayed within the subject frame. If dropped in this region, Core will automatically move them to the closest diagram edge. A good reference for more information on use case diagrams is Chapter 12 of A Practical Guide to SysML, the Systems Modeling Language, by Sanford Friedenthal, Alan Moore, and Rick Steiner. This completes the overview of the use case diagram. To learn more about using Core, go back to our screencast page and view the rest of the skill building collection.